any medication has a risk of side effects. Some are common, some are thankfully extremely rare, truly a 1 in a million risk. But it's these rare ones that can also be very serious and even life-threatening. And it's these side effects which quite understandably can lead many pet parents to avoid giving medication to their pet. Medication that actually has the potential to have a drastic impact on their quality of life, to significantly improve their lives and even save their life. With our most common painkillers, our non-steroidals, these rare but serious risks can include liver failure. With Librela or Loranza, where I am, it can be anaphylaxis. If really any medication actually does something, and that's big by verifying, also has the potential to cause some kind of side effect. To say otherwise would be absolutely untrue. But there is one serious side effect when it comes to the decision about whether to give your pet any kind of painkiller or not that no one is talking about. I'm Vet Dr. Alex. I've been a vet for over 18 years, but before I get onto that side effect, I just want to touch on the perception of just how common these side effects, these other side effects can be. And I say perception because it's really easy to jump on the internet to research, and that's absolutely natural. I'm not saying that you shouldn't do that. But you jump on the internet and you come to the belief that these side effects are actually very, very common. You know, search any drug on various forums, on Facebook, on anywhere, just blog posts, and they are full of very sad tales of people's experiences with the drug in question. And while some will undoubtedly be completely accurate, many won't, for a number of different reasons that it's really important to consider. There's too many to go into, but some, of the more common ones will be that very often, especially with our older animals, so our arthritic animals, although a lot of unrecognized animals that are younger will have arthritis, but, we're talking about old animals by and large. And we're often dealing with a situation where there are multiple conditions to manage, to consider. It may also be that some of these conditions are not yet known because either the symptoms, they're not very clear, or they've not been noticed, or they've been attributed to another condition. So it may be that we're thinking that a dog's doing X, Y, or Z because of their arthritis, where actually it's because there is another condition going on. It may well be that testing has been recommended but been declined for any number of reasons. Costs are a common one because testing doesn't come free. So whatever the reason, being that an unknown or even a known second condition, a side effect could well be actually due to progression of that condition rather than any medication involvement. Another common reason, and a big reason why the scientific method is so important, is that side effect was going to happen anyway, and it just so happened to coincide with starting that medication. Although here often when we're reading stories, it might well be that, oh, my dog was on this medication for 4 months, for 6 months, and then this side effect happened, and I'm attributing it to that medication. There's no reason to suspect that necessarily that medication was involved, but we do look for links. It helps us to, to understand and to cope with things. But going back to that side effect was going to happen anyway. And an example of this is Labradors. They eat lots of rubbish. They get lots of diarrhea. They also get lots of arthritis because they have bad hips, they have bad knees, they maybe have cruciate injury. And this means that statistically, there's always going to be a proportion of Labradors who are going to get diarrhea at about the same time as starting a non-steroidal anti-inflammatory painkiller. That has got absolutely nothing to do with the medication. Okay, we do know actually that is a risk of getting vomiting and diarrhea with the medication, but that's by the by. How do we know that? We know that by doing controlled studies, by looking at a population of Labradors, in this example, or dogs who aren't being given the medication, they're being given a placebo, and looking at how many of them develop diarrhea versus a group of dogs that are given the medication, and then how many of those develop diarrhea or vomiting or whatever it is that we're looking at, and we compare the two. And if there is a significant difference, then we can say that is a side effect that medication could potentially cause in any individual dog. And that just goes for any condition that you can think of. There's always a percentage of animals, very often a very small percentage of animals, who are going to develop that condition anyway. So it's not always a clear-cut case of medication X cause side effect Y. We naturally look for these links, but it's very easy sometimes to put 2 and 2 together and actually come up with 5 through no fault of our own. And these are just a few of the reasons why stories effectively about side effects may not appear as valid as they first look. And before I'm accused, and it's something that will probably happen in the comments, of denying the presence or seriousness of side effects, or just wanting to peddle drugs because it makes vets money, you know, that's the common strawman tactic that is put up in forums. I'm not at all. I want to make it very clear that side effects, the risks are real and that they do happen, just not as frequently as you might believe. Because the internet has allowed us to really concentrate the collection of people's experience. And by this, I mean that literally anyone, anywhere in the world can share their experiences, can post on that Facebook page or wherever it is. And you can see hundreds of posts, loads of blog posts about people sharing their negative experiences. But even if these were all completely accurate, and we've already kind of discussed briefly why that might not be the case, it's easy to lose sight of the fact that all of these reports may well be just a drop in the ocean compared to the thousands, the hundreds of thousands of individuals who were also treated with this drug and had no particular problems at all, or whose health was actually revolutionized, whose quality of life really improved, whose symptoms completely disappeared. We're not really seeing the whole picture. So, you know, you're then going to say, well, where are all these reports of success? Well, if you look, you can absolutely find them. But human nature is also that we're 10 times more likely to complain or leave a negative review if something goes wrong than leave a positive endorsement when everything goes as expected. And most of the places you'll read these negative reports, they're also not particularly welcoming of people who don't agree with the group's general narrative and simply want to go about their life without effectively getting abused online, which is often the case when people buck the trend of the general vibe in any online forum. And so just what is the side effect then that no one is talking about? Well, I should say side effects, because these are remaining in constant pain, having a reduced quality of life, and even being fatal, as it more often than not actually leads to early euthanasia. But what then results in these side effects? Well, that's actually doing nothing, being paralyzed by a misfounded fear and not giving your pet the treatment that they need, spending all your time researching your options and not putting anything into action, watching videos like this and then moving on to the next one and not actually taking action. When it comes to treating arthritis, there is so much that we can do to maintain comfort and slow this progressive disease. Analysis paralysis, it's all too real. Or we place our trust in treatments that are simply either unproven or not effective enough to provide the level of pain relief needed. And this is a big one. And ultimately, you know, I see time and again in my consult room, patients that have gone off their back legs and need to be euthanized when, had they been treated earlier, had they been treated more effectively, they could have both lived a longer life and been so much more comfortable in that time. And so what should this comprehensive arthritis treatment plan be? Because it involves so much more than just giving painkillers. Well, you need to watch this video to find out. So tap on that video. I'll see you there. But until then, I'm veterinarian Dr. Alex. This is Our Pet's Health, because they're family.